Doctor, look.
Stand aside, nurse. I'm Dr. Homebrew.
Stand clear.
Welcome, everybody. We have a good show for you today. This is Dr. Homebrew, and what we're going to be doing is talking about homebrew that is in cans. And I don't understand it. I still don't understand it. We had one on the other show. I didn't understand it then. Well, I don't know what makes you think I understand it now, but here we are, 2019. I still don't get things.
I've had homebrew in cans before. I actually have a canner in my garage, but it's not mine, so... but I'm allowed to try it out if I want.
You have a canner in your garage that's not yours, so you've stolen it.
No, it was brought back from the Northern California Homebrewers Festival. My friends won it, and my other friend said that he would haul it for them. And then they weren't at the last meeting that we had for our club, the Mad Zymergists.
Uh-huh.
And so I inherited it for a brief while.
Okay, are you going to try it out?
I'd like to.
Do it!
I kind of need to clean my garage first. It's a freaking disaster zone. I just went camping and...
Look, dude, cleaning's overrated. But if you're going to do it, you should use 5-Star Chemicals. They bring you this show, and they also bring you the ability to clean and sanitize your home brewing equipment or anything else you might want to clean and sanitize or clean.
Including cans.
Including cans. You can do all of that. Check them out, 5starchemicals.com. They're a big, and I cannot stress this enough, a big supporter of the Brewing Network, this show in general, and home brewing. They're just, they're very nice people, and, they don't come down too hard on us when
I talk?
When Brian talks, yeah. Well, actually, I have some notes for you. But,
good. I want to hear
I'm just kidding.
And you know what else PBW is good for?
But tell me.
Tea. Right, so beer's not the only beverage I love. I love beer, I love wine, I love tea.
Okay.
Right? I have this thing, it's like...
I don't know, you tell me.
Yeah, it's like this, it's like a pint glass, but it's like a cylinder, and there's like a stainless steel screw top to it. So what you do is you put loose tea in, put some hot water in there, and then you can drink it without having to pull the loose tea out. Mm-hmm. And it's really good because like some tea, you can just kind of pour some more water in, get a hot beverage during the day. But the thing gets really stained over time. Is that all the tea, and you use it over and over again.
Yeah.
PBW, man, you put that stuff in there, let it soak for an hour or so, pour that out. It's like crystal clear. That container is amazing. The stainless steel is totally clean. Mm-hmm. It's good for so much stuff.
So you're saying you have high tea?
Well.
You have high tea, and you want to have lower tea.
High tea, medium tea. I have tea pretty much any time of the day.
Because, I know there are pills to take for low tea, but I don't know if there's pills to take for high tea.
If this were any normal Brewing Network show, we'd be making tea bag jokes by now.
That's true, but it's not.
That's a good point.
I've always wanted
high tea instead.
I've always wanted this show to be different from the other Brewing Network shows, mainly because... I don't know. Ball sack jokes are weird. Low. Yeah. Let's take a quick break, everybody. We're going to gather our beer supplies. We're going to do a homebrew, and then we're going to take another break, and then we're going to do a Festbier Commercial Calibration. I'm very excited for these because I get to drink free commercial beer, which is good for me. All right. Mm-hmm. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Back to the examination.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. Let me grab this can. I'm unaware. I'm unprepared. I said specifically that I wasn't going to do this, and I did it.
Well, it was a long and refreshing break that we had just there, so probably understandable you forgot that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Hope everybody enjoyed all the advertisements.
I'm always focused on just kind of moving the show forward that I sometimes forget what to do.
Okay. Here's
that
the can.
aftermath.
We're going to open the can.
All right. Let me get Herbert on the phone here.
Good sound.
And we'll chat with him. I don't know, man. Canning your homebrew has got to feel, if I still homebrewed, it would feel pretty good. You know what I mean? I don't know. The bottles always feel a little weird to me, and I feel like,
Really?
well, I feel like, canning your homebrew is sort of like just that next step that you never thought you would get, like cell phones, like small cell phones. You know
corking your Belgian bottles, or if you make
something
wine,
like that,
making
sure.
a corked and foil-wrapped wine bottle.
Yeah, but on like another level, right? Like
we're living in the future? Like it's a warp drive of homebrewing?
Like the first color TV. You guys probably remember when you guys had black and white TV and then suddenly color TV was there. You guys remember that.
I remember in 1974, my dad walking up the walkway into the house from the driveway with a brand new portable TV, which probably weighed 70 pounds and had that handle on top. It was probably like a 14-incher. And that thing, man, we were living in the future. It was amazing.
See, so you do know. Herbert, are you there?
Yeah, what's up, guys?
Hey, what's going on, dude?
Yeah.
Not much, man.
We're talking about the scientific marvel of canned homebrews.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, yeah,
that we got the 19-inch color TV, and that was pretty big at the time.
Hell yeah.
And then my brother and I inherited the black and white TV for our Atari 2600. And you couldn't see anything on it, but it was,
But you had your own TV.
We had a video game in our house.
Yeah.
Like that was.
We had a 2600 in like 1982, and that was the shit, man.
Hell yeah. All right, Herbert, what's going on, dude? How's your homebrew? How long you been homebrewing, man? Let's talk about your homebrew.
I've been brewing pretty obsessively for about 3 years now.
Okay. That's pretty good, man.
Are you in a homebrew club, or are you doing this obsessive brewing on your own?
On my own.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Where do you live? I don't want to don't need like your house number, but like what city and state are you in?
I live in Chino Hills, California.
Oh, cool.
Not too bad. Not too bad. And so we're drinking a Munich Helles from you. Is this the first time you've attempted such a beer or a recipe you're working on?
This is actually the fourth time I've brewed it, and
the
only time I was actually pretty happy with it.
Okay. All right. Would you feel that it's getting better or hit or miss? Because the reason I ask, it sounds like a dumb question, but whenever I would brew the same recipe over and over again, or at least try to refine it, sometimes sucked. And so, I feel like I would be taking a step backwards in how I was brewing.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. Like the second time I brewed it, I was like, oh, well, I took another step back. And the third time I brewed it, I felt like I took another step back.
Yeah, dude.
Third time's not the charm. Damn it!
So then,
you're not the only one.
That third time compared to this, you're feeling pretty good.
Yeah, definitely.
Hell yeah, dude. All right, well, Brian Cooper, why don't you start us off with Herbert's beer?
Yeah,
and
we're feeling pretty good here, too, because we already recorded one show a little bit ago, and this is the second show of the night here. This is where we get squirrely and have some fun with things. So, Commercial Cal coming after this is the only homebrew on the show. It's the only show where we've had only canned homebrew on the show, no bottled homebrew on the show. So you're a star, Herbert. Thank you.
All right.
I'm getting in the nose a whiff of fairly strong sulfur at first, but it actually blows off somewhat after pouring. When I opened the can too, I got a little blast of sulfur, and I was quite like a foot below my nose. But there's a little bit of I would say some DMS going on in here, but that's allowable in the style to a certain degree. It's maybe a little bit high for the style, but. After that blows off, you get a nice low bready malt and faint herbal hop. It doesn't seem super sweet either here. It shouldn't be a sweet bomb, but it does. In the guidelines, it does mention that sweetness should be a little aspect of it, or it can be a little nice little aspect of it. That you get that sweet German Pils malt note in the nose, and then again in the flavor. But you did a nice job lagering here. You're getting rid of the bad stuff that you don't want, the diacetyl, the acetaldehyde. And the DMS is at kind of a medium low level. It's not insane. So there's no obvious esters here. It's cleanly lagered. You did what you need to do there. And, it smells inviting. So they can sometimes lead towards a little sulfury side, but I think getting too high on that will detract a little bit from the other aromas you want there. And appearance-wise, it's a kind of a lighter yellow color, almost dark straw with a white head, excellent clarity, and the head persists quite well. It laced the glass, and as we were drinking the sample that we judged earlier, it just clung to the sides of the glass, kind of a static cling effect here. I know it has been pretty dry here, and when I take my clothes out of the dryer, it's really crackly. So I don't know if it has anything to do with that. Probably not. But yeah, it's pretty much in line with style for appearance, albeit a little bit light. It should be kind of yellow, light yellow colored, or kind of yellow to light gold, but it's kind of light yellow. But that's okay. I'd still give it full points for appearance. It looked really nice. Flavor-wise, pleasantly malty, but again, lighter than Hope, just a bit. I'm getting kind of a nice Pils malt character, but kind of a wateriness to it on the edge of that. But it should be a refreshing beer. So that's, it's definitely not horrible by any stretch of the imagination here. Clean lager profile is evident here. Low bitterness is out of the way. It's balanced to the malt. There's just enough hop there to balance it too, I would say. Just a faint herbal floral hop in the background, not much bitterness. And it finishes semi-dry. Just a touch of sweetness, not a whole lot. But I'm also getting some of that medium-low DMS in the flavor here too, the little sulfuriness. And I don't know if that's pulling the sweetness back a little bit or interfering with it in some way, but it's there. It's really not way out of line or anything at all. It's noticeable. But again, no diacetyl, no real bad stuff going on here. So it's a nice clean lager. Mouthfeel wise, pretty close to where you want it to be. I would say medium light bodied. You'd maybe want it more towards medium, but no warmth. It's actually fairly smooth. Nice medium carbonation, bordering maybe towards medium high. No astringency, and it's just a bit light on the palate overall. It just needs a little bit more body and be right there. But it's a somewhat creamy, smooth beer, as it should be. It's a smooth drinking beer. You want another sip as soon as you drink some of it. That's what this is about. So give it a 4 for mouthfeel out of 5. And overall, I'd say it's a very, very nicely brewed Munich Helles. It seems to be just a bit on the lighter side, which leaves it lacking that hint of malty sweetness that you want. But it's still very, very smoothly drinkable, and obviously nicely lagered, super refreshing. If you could find a way to back off on that DMS and maybe just bring up the body and the sweetness just a touch. I'm talking really subtly.
Yeah, dude.
I'd like to know, what the starting gravity on this was and where it finished when we get to the recipe and stuff. Just kind of see if it is on the lighter end for the style, or if I'm just off my rocker and I'm just drinking too many IPAs and big beers, and it just tastes light to me because I'm haven't it's funny when you spend time in Germany and you really go down to Munich and you drink the beers and then you come back. Everything that you've been used to tasting here tastes so different, and it's like, oh man, the beers here are so hoppy. All of a sudden, like, what is going on? I'm just used to the nice malty beers, but I get used to them again. It's fine, but it's good to go to a beer like this and remember a little bit of what it's like to be over there.
That's right.
So I gave it a 37. I like the beer.
Okay, very good.
Quite a bit.
Brian Schaar.
Yeah, I liked it a lot as well. I largely echo what Cooper said. I liked that sort of hit of sulfur in the aroma at the beginning. I gave it 9 out of 12 for aroma. Because when you're drinking a lager, I really want that's like the signal that, hey, I'm drinking a lager, right? And it's too much isn't good, but to me, this has got not an excessive amount of sulfur at the beginning.
Yeah. It wasn't super over the top. It was just to the point where I was like any more and it's going to be a little, okay, that's a lot of DMS, but it's,
just exactly. But I got some breadiness, low spice, kind of noble hop, no off aromas. The bread aroma, it's weird. Usually aroma gets more intense as it warms up. To me, the bread kind of goes away as it warms. It kind of blows off a little. Appearance, I gave it 3 out of 3. And I want to talk just for a second about something that came up on the session. I was catching up on the archives. There was an episode of the session maybe a couple of months ago with the NHC winners. And there was some discussion about, hey, appearance, it's a gimme, 3 out of 3. Even Justin was joking about, hey, Brian and Brian are just outside the door. I'm going to have them come in and talk about appearance. And appearance really isn't a gimme. In some ways, it sounds like it should be because, hey, how hard can it be to get color clarity in head? But, like Brian was talking about, he thought it was maybe a little bit light in color. Arguably it was, but it's kind of a judgment call if it's enough to take a point off. Kind of the rule of thumb is 1 point color, 1 point clarity, 1 point head. And, judges are all a little bit different about this.
It's true.
But to me, as long as it's in the ballpark, I will give the point. Color, I won't deduct the point unless it's way off. It's way too dark or way too light for style. Clarity, if it's a little hazy and it's supposed to be clear, that's fine. If there's floaties or something obvious, that's definitely going to be a minus a point.
I think I take it back. Actually, I'm looking at a color chart here. This is probably about a 2.5 or a 3. It's a little bit on the lighter end for the style, but probably in.
Yeah.
It can go from go to 3 to 5, so it's close to 3 or so, 3.5.
Yeah, and that's an excellent intro. My last point here was that color is so subjective, right?
Right.
Color and head are both really subjective, and I think a lot of people don't fully understand what the color ranges are.
And I don't fully understand, because who am I, sitting over here calling a half point on SRM? Can you detect a half point on SRM? I probably can't. I'm calling it just to make myself feel better.
Well, exactly. It's not just that either. It depends. Color, especially in a lighter beer, depends so much on how much of it's in your glass.
And your environment and the size of the glass. Yeah.
It's so hard to get right. And then the head, I think there's a lot of confusion about what head really means. I mean, a large, persistent head.
I can tell you.
Well, yeah, maybe you're a lucky man. Persistent head doesn't mean that you got a centimeter of foam on top of the glass or on top of the liquid the whole time you're drinking it. That's not persistent head. I mean, I'm looking at this, and there's around. No. I mean, this right here, I wish we had the video going today. This ring around the glass where you have some bubbles, and there's maybe a couple 3 millimeters of bubbles around the liquid on the rim of the glass or the edge of the glass here. That's persistent head.
With the center having like a little bit of residual, but you can still see the color of the beer underneath.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
It doesn't have to be this blanket of foam that lasts the whole time you're drinking it. No beer can have that.
Yeah.
Because of your saliva
the oils
and stuff.
From your mouth and your
It'll never happen. So there's subjectiveness, and I think there's also some misunderstanding out there sometimes about what head means and how you kind of figure out what color is. So this is why it's not a gimme. And these are there are subjective factors that enter into this as well as that objective. This is this Pilsner shouldn't look like a stout, right?
Well, yeah.
So that's maybe where some of that. So I pardon the digression. But this beer, 3 out of 3, it's crystal clear. You can read through this. At the beginning, the head, there's a big foamy head at the beginning, and the head is very persistent on this. Very light gold color, very pretty. I won't... everything else here, flavor, essentially the same flavor comments that Brian had, 14 out of 20. I used all my time talking about appearance, so I'm not going to...
You said you wanted to talk about appearance.
Yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit.
You're very shallow.
You said you wanted to talk about entitled brewers who enter the beers in competition and complain that they don't get a 3 every time.
That's
these
right.
Kids these days get these participation appearance trophies, and I'm not that kind of old man yet. Give me about 5 years, Brian.
Okay.
Mouthfeel, 4 out of 5. Can echo what Brian had said. Overall impression, 9 out of 10. This is a really tough style to brew.
It sure is.
I think it's tough for several reasons. A, it's tough because it's a lager. B, it's tough because as Americans and as homebrewers, we want to put a lot of hops in stuff, typically. And it's really easy, even if you don't want to put a lot of hops in a beer. Helles has hop bitterness. It has a little hop flavor. But it's really easy just to inadvertently go over the top and push this into Pilsner territory. And then once you're in Pilsner territory, I mean, Pilsner typically in America, I mean, I like it kind of over-hopped classically. And hey, I'm an American. But Pilsner tends to be, the ones that meddle tend to be the ones that are firmly bitter.
I think that is a good point because especially if, in the newer crop of homebrewers, maybe like Herb here, I don't know, where you put in an ounce of hops for the whole beer, as an example. Mm-hmm. Instantly you go, that's not enough.
Yeah.
Something has to be wrong. I should add more. Because I do the same shit with grain, and that's part of the reason why it takes us so long to, like, nail a recipe down. The people who can get it in 1 or 2 times don't have that sort of internal, let's crank this thing and see what happens.
Yeah. So the balance in this, really well done. I give it 39 out of 50. I would pay for a pint of this. Thought it was great, especially,
Well, I'll send you his PayPal information.
Okay.
You can.
Thank you, Herbert. Appreciate it.
Of course.
All right, Herbert, let's talk about your beer, man. Do you have the recipe for us by chance? Would you mind dropping that?
I do.
All right.
Sure. Yeah, it's pretty simple. Actually, I was talking about the lightness. I agree, too, and it was because I took the Munich out of it this time.
Mm.
Interesting.
But the recipe is 88% Pilsner, 9% Vienna, and 3% Melanoidin. And I figured with the Vienna and the Melanoidin, I can kind of make up for the Munich. But yeah, when I pulled it out, I was like, this does look a little light too. So last few batches of Helles I brewed, I just felt like I was a little heavy-handed with the Munich, and I tried to lighten it up, and I still didn't like it. So I figured this time we'll just take it out.
Just go really light with the Munich. You don't have to go crazy. But
yeah.
Brewed how you like it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next brew, I'll definitely toss in that Munich.
Mm-hmm. How much were you tossing in when you felt it was heavy?
I don't even remember, to be honest. But the beer was much darker. It looked like almost like a Märzen almost.
Yeah.
So I was So I figured this time I would just go the other way and just take out the Munich altogether, and just to start from the bottom and then slowly work my way back up to it.
Mm-hmm. Do you recall if you were using the light Munich or dark Munich malt?
Light Munich.
Maybe next time, maybe put in 25% of what you thought was too much. 20% next time.
Okay.
What do you think, definitely, Brian? Is that because if it was way too high, you take a quarter of that.
Well, here's what it says for ingredients in the style guidelines: Continental Pilsner malt, traditional German Saucer type hop varieties, clean German lager yeast. I think that instead of using tricks like Melanoidin malts and Vienna and Munich, you can just spend 6 hours doing a triple decoction and do it the right way. Do a little work. Enlist some friends to help you out. Say, hey, we're going to do some fun. Want to stir hot boiling malt
for hours? It'll be great.
For hours, and I'll give you a beer later.
Yeah, it's called honing your craft, Herbert. Maybe you should look it up.
No,
Ow,
I digress. But yeah, no, I mean the things you're doing are a good trick for kind of simulating. I assume you didn't do a triple decoction here, but
no,
Brian, you're a grandmaster. You should know. You never assume process when you're judging a beer.
Okay. I just assumed because he was laughing when I made that joke.
Well, do you have any questions for the guys, Herbert, or maybe the guys
did you
have
give the score?
extender for you?
Score?
Yeah, 39.
Okay, 39. Yeah, it's right in there. It's a really nice one.
Yeah, with the DMS, do you think it's just maybe not boiling long enough or hard enough?
It doesn't hurt to do. How long of a boil are you doing?
That was definitely a 60-minute boil, a 90-minute boil.
Yeah, do at least 90.
I mean, it doesn't need to be super rapid either, but it does need to roll.
Yeah, get a good full rolling boil going. Just drive off all those. It's SMMS is the DMS precursor, and that's if it stays in the beer, it'll convert to DMS. Yeah. But again, it wasn't at an offensive level, really. It was just there, and I got a good whiff of it when we opened the can, but it blew off pretty quickly, and it was back to kind of like, okay, this is nice.
Yeah, I wasn't getting the DMS, so it's right to me. It's got to be right at that borderline. But do you cover the kettle when you boil?
No, I don't.
Okay, so that's that. So you have a way for the DMS or the SMM to get out. So that's good. doesn't even have to be like totally uncovered. Like I would always boil with like an inch gap on the lid, and the lid would kind of help keep the heat in, but there'd be the gap for the stuff to get out.
And then you had like a vacuum cleaner to suck out all the...
Well, yes, exactly.
That's precursor.
Exactly. Just the SMM vacuum.
Yeah.
But with the DMS, like, is just like let's just say I did a sufficient boil, I did a proper boil. What other steps could I do to prevent anything, any of that DMS to show back up? Is there anything else?
Even longer boil.
Well, don't you want to cool quickly? Isn't that an issue?
Increase my color a little too.
Yeah.
Don't you want to cool as quickly as possible, because it's the kind of hovering around like that 180,
right?
I think that can cause the SMM reproduction by the malt.
You want to pass fairly quickly between the temperature range of like 180 to 140 and get down into the lower 100s and down to 90s and then to pitching temp pretty quickly. So if you have a inefficient wort chiller situation going on, then that's not going to help your cause. If you're, if you got a plate chiller and you're dropping it right down, then you have no problems. So.
I'm smelling the can right now, and if that came out wrong. And it's one of these things where I can kind of talk myself into smelling some DMS now that we're talking about it.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how malleable the sense of smell is.
Honestly, I think it's more just sulfuriness and not so much like the corn-like DMS. It's not
right.
Yeah. But it's just the sulfuriness. Maybe it's even a little bit of H2S with some sulfur, but not. It doesn't really have a rotten egg smell.
It's right at that boundary of where there would be. It's a very low DMS to me.
Yeah,
that makes sense, because I think I used the Imperial Global strain. I believe it's the Weihenstephaner strain, and I read that it's super sulfury. So
yeah, it can be strain dependent too. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, maybe next time. Is this the yeast you've always used for your Helles?
Yes, actually.
Okay. It might be an interesting experiment next time you brew this to, I don't know if you have the capability of doing this, especially when you're doing temp control. Break it, do two different fermenters or two different, carboys or buckets or whatever, and try one yeast with one and one with the other, and just kind of see which one you like better. Try like an Imperial, and try like a different strain from Imperial or somebody else or whatever, and just see what you like.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah,
White Labs makes an actual like Munich Helles lager yeast, WLP 860, specifically designed for this style. So you could try that.
I should try that.
So that's homebrewers, man. We want to try whatever.
No, man, this is the new hotness. I'm going to try this.
I'll mix it up.
No, that's why do multiple yeast. Give it a shot. That's part of the fun of homebrewing, just experimenting.
Herbert, anything else?
No, everything's pretty right on, because I actually entered this in a competition and got bronze, and the scores were just about mirroring the scores you guys gave. Cool. And they gave about the same exact pieces of advice as well. So
okay, good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really nicely lagered. You did a great job there, so keep it up and keep making these. Lagers are hard.
Right on.
Yeah, they really are.
Dude. Nothing to hide behind with this beer either.
No.
All right, man, we'll let you split then.
All right, cool. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Bye.
See ya.
Thanks. Yeah, definitely the best homebrew on the show.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was really good.
All right, everybody. It's break time. We're going to come back. We're going to do commercial calibration, and then we're going to get out of here. This is Dr. Homebrew. We'll be right back.
Hello, fellow BNers. This is Sully from the 21st Amendment Brewery located in San Francisco, just 2 blocks from Giants Park. Before Nico and I opened the 21A and before I was a professional brewer, I homebrewed on my small 4-burner apartment stove in a back house in Santa Monica, California, making my extract brews before graduating to the daunting idea of all-grain brewing. Homebrew books and information was hard to come by back then. The internet hadn't been invented yet, along with other things we take for granted today, like electricity and potable water. One thing I wish I had back then when I was learning was a radio show that could teach me the ins and outs of brewing and answer questions that I had about homebrewing, a resource for making great craft beer. The 21st Amendment Brewery is excited to be a proud sponsor of Dr. Homebrew, a great show that teaches you what you need to know about making incredible beer. Good stuff. Listen up, you might learn something. I certainly did. And thanks for your support. Tasty Crack Cans.
The leader in affordable, high-quality kegerators is here. Introducing Komos, the kegerator designed with serious beer drinkers in mind. It features an all-stainless steel draft tower, a major upgrade over traditional chrome-plated brass towers, and Komos keeps your new tower cold with their air-cooled tower fan, wrapping your beer lines in frigid coolness. Your beer is poured from innovative forward-sealing faucets that don't leak, so they stay cleaner for longer. Dual gas inlets on the rear of the fridge allow you to run both CO2 and nitrogen gas. Serve your beer with CO2, serve your kegged wine, or even cocktails with nitrogen. The digital temperature display has the largest range available, allowing you to use the Komos Kegerator for fermentation if you need to. And now Komos Kegerators ship with duo-tight draft fittings for that click-to-connect assembly we've all dreamed of. Buy direct from KomosDraft.com and receive free shipping on your order. That's KOMOS Draft.com.
I'm sorry to tell you this, but we're going to have to pour you out.
Back to Dr. Homebrew.
Hey, everybody. Wow, Brian. Brian's sassy right now.
Yes. We're just talking about the German government owning this brewery.
Weihenstephaner.
And it wasn't even like an East German brewery. It would have been in West Germany, right? And it was still state-run.
It was originally Bavaria.
The big honking F word, dude.
Yep.
Did you drop the F-bomb?
The German government is getting you fucked up.
That's right.
They brew this beer for you, and it's a very poundable beer.
He makes strong beer for you,
It's a little stronger than the typical German beer.
5.8, I believe it is.
5.8.
There you go.
Yeah, Brian, we were talking before the break, actually, before the show, that I know a little bit about this beer, but I think you're a lot more knowledgeable about like the subtle differences between the Festbier and like the Märzen and stuff than I am.
Well, yeah, the Festbier is actually a fairly recent invention. It's not it's not been around forever, but I think it's like. I need to look this stuff up.
Well, there was. My understanding was this was something that was relatively recent because the folks in Munich that ran Oktoberfest thought that the Märzen was too heavy.
Yes, the Märzen style.
They wanted something that, in fact, that was that quote you said, more poundable. The head brewer at Polliner, I'm looking at the style guidelines, wanted a beer that was, quote, more poundable, unquote.
Exactly. That doesn't sound like a very German thing to say, though.
It really does not. Yeah, I want beers that is more poundable, yeah.
Yeah, so the Märzen style is a malty amber European-style lager that can trace its roots to the modern variants all the way back to 1841 when Spaten created the first recipe of the style. Märzen became the official beer of Munich's Oktoberfest in 1872. The tradition lasts over 100 years and was replaced by the lighter-bodied, golden-colored Festbier in the 1990 Oktoberfest. So they declare an official, beer for Oktoberfest, and that year, it became lighter and more poundable, as they say.
They do say that.
And formerly the style guidelines, the 2008 guidelines, Oktoberfest, as they called it then, and Märzen were the same style. But that's changed now, and they've actually separated them out. So,
the comparison section I think is really illuminating. We just had that Helles, so this is more rich in body than a Helles with more hop flavor and higher alcohol. Of course, because Helles is low hop flavor, low hop bitterness, less intense and less richly toasted than a Märzen, less rich in malt intensity than a Maibach. So whereas a Bach is going to be almost always going to be decocted at least once. It's super malty. I'm not familiar with this. Malt complexity is similar to a higher gravity Czech premium pale lager. Well, and they kind of lost me on that because I'm not sure if I've ever actually had a Czech premium pale lager.
Well, that's what they used to call Czech Pilsner.
Oh, is this like an Urquell?
Yeah.
I don't know. I would disagree with that because this is just. I don't know that I would think this has much in common with an Urquell.
Yeah.
No,
that's a lot hoppier.
Yeah, I mean,
and a lot less mineral in the water.
But still, I mean, I like how the comparison kind of triangulates between the Märzen and the Helles and the Maibach. It's kind of in the middle of those three.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's just go through the Festbier. Aroma-wise, what do you gents getting here? Is it malty, rich, or is it hoppy?
I get the sulfur that I expect. Not intense, but I get the lager sulfur. I definitely get like a bready malt.
And this is definitely the Weihenstephaner yeast, which is the one we were just talking about. So yeah, it's
pretty good perfumey.
Putting a little bit of
malt. It smells very fresh. It doesn't smell doesn't smell oxidized or abused at all.
Yeah, I think we got a pretty good example here. This is nice, actually.
Yeah, not really any hop aroma. I mean, if it is, it's a really low.
And there's a little more. There's a little toastiness there, like compared to a Munich Helles or something else.
Yeah, but it's not
super toasty like a Märzen /
right.
A richer or a.
When we're talking like bready toastiness, it's not even like a crackery.
It's
like we use that sometimes. It's not
with
that
a hint of toast, kind of thing. Yeah,
it's like a nice roll of French, like a fresh French baguette or French bread,
fresh baked white bread.
You're fresh baked white bread, kind of that crust of that white bread that you're getting. Not like the wheat bread or something, but that crust of the white bread. I kind of get that aroma, and then that flavor too.
Yeah, a little bit of biscuitiness too. Yeah. Clean lager. I mean, it's not going to be a fruity smelling beer, and a little herbal or spicy hops in there, leaning towards the Zatzer, kind of the spicier side of thing, a noble hop. But you could make it with different hops too, and add a little kind of more floral edge to it, or go spicier. But this one's not.
I wouldn't go like juicier or kind of the new age hops like that. I wouldn't do any of that, like a citrus thing, but I think it would be weird.
Yeah, the hop is kind of background in this one. This is primarily malt. It's pretty malt balanced for sure.
But the bitterness is fairly solid too. It's a fairly strong bitterness.
So appearance wise, we're looking for a deep yellow to a deep gold color. Mm-hmm. And this is.
I'd say it's a light yellow, really.
Yeah, it seems like a light yellow.
Yeah,
this is crystal clear
it's
and
actually
very light in color.
It's getting towards gold. It's not. It's not.
I would call this straw. Right when you're talking about the range of typical descriptors, this is more straw or light straw.
I think we're also drinking it in a kind of a narrow glass too, so it might look lighter than it really is. I think in a fuller. In a pint glass, or especially in the traditional, the Maßstein, it's going to look more golden. Yeah. So we're kind of looking at it in the wrong glass here, and maybe we should, pour full liters of every beer we taste here on Dr. Homebrew, so that we get a proper color judgment, and then just pound them, and
and fight.
Yeah, we were.
We'll fight after this.
We were talking about this with regard to the previous beer, right? That color is so tricky because it depends on the vessel that you're drinking it from, as well as how the thickness of that liquid in that vessel. If I poured another, 3-inch, if I filled up this little glass, it's going to look different in color than having like this centimeter or two that's in here.
Yeah, and it's brilliantly clear. There's no problems there. Nice little bubbles rising off and persistent white foam stand. It's a really nice looking beer. Flavor-wise, you're looking for a medium to medium-high malty flavor initially with a lightly toasty bread dough quality and an impression of soft sweetness. I'd say it has all of that. It's nice, softly sweet,
100%
gentle, but hey, pretty malty, and but not to the point of like a rich, a darker Märzen. Where you start getting more of that, that kind of Maillard kind of flavors and the byproducts of the Maillard reactions and more toastiness. Just lightly toasty malt with a doughy, bready quality, and then a little bit of sweetness in the finish, but still well attenuated, not a big sweet bomb. And the bitterness is kind of just medium low out of the way. And balance to the malt. So crisp but not dry is a good way to put it here. Yeah, it's well attenuated and crisp but not dry.
Yes.
That that would be a different animal. So, the little sweetness kind of lingers on your tongue, satisfies you, doesn't just dry completely off, and you want another sip still. So it's pretty easy drinking. Clean lager, it's mostly Pils malt here, but with some toast going on. And it's not super bitter at all, even for German standards. So I'm talking about IPAs here, but the bitterness is supporting there. It's just in the background. Hey, let that malt shine.
Yeah, and to me, this is really well attenuated, and that sweetness is a perceived sweetness from the Pilsner malt. Mm-hmm. The Pilsner malt does have that perfumey aroma and that sweet taste to it that even when it could be bone dry. This is not, but it could be, you could ferment down to 0, and you're going to get a perceived sweetness just because that's what that malt kind of tastes like.
Right.
Even if there's not residual sugar there.
Yeah, malt flavor, residual malt flavor.
Right. And that flavor, I think people tend to perceive it. I tend to perceive it as, in part, sweetness.
Yeah.
When it's Pilsner malt in particular.
Yeah, Golden Promise does that for me too. But yeah, Pilsner malt for sure.
Well, I also feel that some of the sweetness, the perception of sweetness is coming from the alcohol because it's slightly higher in alcohol than most beers. This is pushing 6%. Most German beers are around 5%, and it's a little sweet. But it's not to the point where we'll get into the mouthfeel, but it's not the point where it's like, oh, I'm getting a big warming sensation here. It's such a smooth beer in the mouthfeel too. Just creamy, smooth, easy flowing down the throat, and there you go. Yep. And enough carbonation to push those nice flavors in there, just kind of medium carbonation. I will talk about the mouthfeel. Medium body, smooth, creamy, medium carbonation, alcohol strength barely noticeable as warming, if at all. So some of them can have a little edge of warming. And you should know that you're drinking an alcoholic beverage, but not to the point where... Oh, wow, I feel it all the way down. This is an alcoholic bomb.
It burns. No, you should never have that from a beer.
Yeah, they keep the, there's no fusels or anything in here. It's just so
from a beer or a date.
Lagered.
That's right.
Neither one. If you have both at the same time, you're having a really bad night.
Yeah, this is very enjoyable. Overall impression, smooth, clean, pale German lager with a moderately strong malty flavor and a light hop character. The balance you're looking for is between the strength and the drinkability. They're playing a balancing act here, like getting it up a little higher than the most usual ones, and getting people happy and festive in that time of year. When the fall is getting in, the nights are getting dark, getting crisper and darker and colder, and it's something to warm you up a little bit, but not to the point where you're just right. And you can drink a couple liters and still stand up, So all good.
Not 3 though. Well, maybe 4.
Well,
maybe 4.
Depending
sit
on
down after 3.
Your body weight and how much food you put in your system. 3 is just fine. I've had 3 liter steins at
if you have 4,
Hofbräuhaus before. Yeah. When you go to 4, that starts to turn into a different kind of a night.
All right, well, so let's score it. What do we think? Compared to the style, how does the Weihenstephaner Festbier hold up?
I would say this is one of the best commercial examples of a beer that we've had that's in the best condition for how far it's traveled. And I would call this mid-40s, honestly. It's exactly what I want, almost. It's like, what could you do to make this beer better? Not a whole lot.
Get it fresher, maybe.
Yeah, I was going to call this maybe a 45. And clearly this has been transported cold. Because you can get... everyone's familiar with the containers that go on the container ships and the railroad cars. You can transport goods in those as there are refrigerated containers that are that size, and they're actively cooled the whole time. They're expensive. I don't know the details. They must plug into something. Clearly it's not just the container, but the utilities you have to have on there while you're transporting stuff. But for something like this beer, it clearly was handled well all the way from Bavaria to here. There's a great beer store in Redwood City. Not just beer store; it's a grocery store, German store, beer store, and bar called Haus Stout. And they've always had really great German beer that clearly has come here, FedEx or refrigerated container or something. And it's usually pretty fresh. So that's kind of the key to these beers. Finding a retailer and someone that understands the supply chain and takes good care of the beer really makes a huge difference. And that's, we got this here from the Hop Grenade, to give a plug to our hosts here at the Hop Grenade. Whoever sourced this or if it's just pure accident that came through like this, it's just really well taken care of.
So your scores are 45?
Yeah, scores are 45.
Same here.
I'll stop talking now.
I was thinking this whole time 42.
42.
For some reason, stuck kind of in the thing, and for me, honestly, there is a bitterness, there is a bite to it that I do kind of take in as just the travel. I don't know if it's an accentuated bitterness that I would imagine is not in there. Slightly metallic, maybe, but I don't know. It almost is hopped like Urquell style, where like a German Pils, where it has a sort of a more aggressive bitterness than I would like. I would like a little more malty, but I don't know if that's just the way it was treated, because I guarantee you it wasn't stored cold the entire time. There's no way.
I think it's the ethanol.
Okay.
In the flavor, I get a tiny bit of ethanol. Not a lot. It's not a fusel. It's not sharp. I get a little ethanol sweetness. Okay. And I wonder, because that can be a little bitter at the same time, and I wonder if that's maybe what's increasing a perception of spiciness.
Do you
or
guys
bitterness.
get that, what I'm talking about, too? Or
I get a little, but I attributed that to it being, like Brian was saying, it's like a little higher alcohol beer. And with it not being like as full malty flavor-wise, like a Maibach or something, that alcohol is going to come through a little more. So, I don't know. What do you think, Brian? Am I imagining things?
Yeah. With the medium carbonation and pushing 6%, it is a little bit of a, not, it's a smooth beer, but it's a little bit of a bite to it in just the alcohol and the, and there is some, spicy floral hop in there too, but I don't think it's too hoppy by any stretch of the imagination.
Okay. That's a very good beer.
But another quick point that's kind of fun is, they call it Fest beer in the guidelines because basically any beer, and German can be a little anal retentive, as you all well know. Of course, that's just a stereotype, I suppose. But
sure.
The BJCP chose to call this style Fest beer since by German regulations, Oktoberfest beer is a protected appellation. And that's only for beer that's brewed there to be drank there in the city limits of Munich.
Yeah, I didn't want to go down the IP rabbit hole of this, but I can start talking about that.
We don't have that much time. Yeah.
We call this is Fest beer.
We have another hour to talk about appellations and things.
No.
I can. Okay.
Go get an Oktoberfest beer if you can, and get it.
That's right.
But it's fun to go to Munich any time of the year. You don't have to go during Oktoberfest time. Just go any time of the year, and it's just a very festive, fun. Go to the beer halls there. You'll have a great time. Go to Augustiner. Go to Hofbräuhaus.
Oh, dude, you know what I'm doing next year? This is such a scam, and it's so great. It's going to be great, I hope. Tax-deductible Oktoberfest. There's this thing called Bits and Pretzels, and it's this tech conference, like TechCrunch Disrupt or something like that. It's in Munich. It's during Oktoberfest.
Oh.
So you go, and you meet, like, techie people from U.S. and Europe. And it's 3 days. Day 3 is a, quote, networking event. And it's all-day networking. They rent an entire tent at Oktoberfest. And the entire day is networking, drinking beer at Oktoberfest. So I'm like, I'm going to go next year.
You have to.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. So I'll report back from this whole thing. So
Please do.
It's business development. It's legit.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go meet a bunch of Europeans. But day 3 is business development, drinking beer, talking about how I'm one of the doctors homebrew, and I can write patent applications too.
I feel like they should have that event first, because on day 3 you're going to unravel every sort of connection that you make. You know what I mean? Not you personally, but like that would be me, where it's like, hey, we talked about doing some business together. Man, have you seen that chick? I don't know. Then this gets a whole thing. But
that sounds like a lot of fun.
Right?
Day 1, you break the ice with people drinking a bunch of beer, and then 2 and 3 is more like, Yeah, it was nice.
Sorry about that.
Let's not talk about
when I pissed on your shoes.
Let's talk about the East Coast.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the crop dusting.
That's right. We're going to wrap the show up real fast because we do have a little extra time. I was obviously in L.A., in Anaheim. Whenever I do, I always visit my friends at Eagle Rock, and I always buy a 4-pack of their German pills, or their German lager, German style lager. Forgive me, which I already drank. And then a 4-pack of their Manifesto, which is wit beer, Belgian-style wit beer. So I thought I'd bring it along and share it with you guys, and, not necessarily to, like, sit and nitpick about, but just, I don't know, I don't really drink wit beers at all, really. Not a lot of people make them. When I feel like, when they make them, I feel like they're very spiced heavy, or too sweet, or too high alcohol, and I just don't really care about them. But I just thought this was a very nice, well-rounded version of the style that we don't really see a whole lot of anyway.
To me, this one leans toward the orange peel, and it accents the beer nicely.
Yeah, the coriander. I don't know, man.
But I agree. Like blue, like some of them, I'll call it out. Okay, Blue Moon, too sweet for me. Hoegaarden, of course, or Hoegaarden. That's like the classic. This is really dry, and I definitely love the orange peel and the spice in this.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. It's my last can.
Thank you
and
for
I brought
sharing.
it for you guys.
Appreciate
you were a good host and friend.
You guys are in Anaheim, or where are they?
They are in L.A. proper. Yeah.
In Eagle Rock, next to Pasadena. Eagle Rock neighborhood.
That's true. Yeah, right next to, almost in Pasadena, really.
I've actually been there 2 years ago. It was kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know, I'm also going to give another shout out to Evil Pig Barbecue. It's these people that do fucking
there's another
flavored pretzels. And sell them at Eagle Rock. I didn't know about them, and then
Evil Pig. And
Evil
they make
Pig Barbecue.
They make
because they were a barbecue place, and then they did seasonings, and then I guess they started doing pretzels, and the pretzels are like all over SoCal. They're delicious. They buy I think they buy the pretzels and then they just coat them and sell them.
Probably cheaper to make than barbecue.
Yeah, but they're so good. Margin. If you're ever down in L.A. and you see them, check them out. Why not?
Evil Pig.
Shout outs.
Evil Pig.
Let's give shout outs. You got a shout out?
Right.
Let's go. Give me a shout out, Brian.
Well, our Oktoberfest competition is coming up this weekend. We're judging it.
There we go.
And so if there are any BJCP judges listening, or if Brian Shar over there wants to come help us judge on Saturday, I already emailed him earlier and twisted his arm a little bit. But
we'll chat a little later. I have weird stuff going on Saturday, but I think I can make it.
It's the world's smallest German-only beer competition, I think. At least this year, we your chances of getting a ribbon are very high this year if you enter a competition because we slacked and didn't promote it properly.
That's right.
But it's so fun. We judge it at Bottle Taps in Pleasanton that my buddy Eric runs, and he feeds us and gives us good beer, so we like him a lot. And
so if you're listening live, which one of the two people, and you don't already know Brian and I, which is probably means a subset of zero.
Come meet us. Then.
Yeah, come meet us. It'll be great. We'll have fun.
Sounds good.
Of October, yeah.
Brian Shar, quick plug.
Quick plug. Dr. Homebrew, listen wherever you cast your pods.
All right, there you go.
Good show.
All right, everybody, thanks a lot for tuning in. We appreciate it very much. Next month, we're going to have more great homebrew for you to listen to us drink. So if you want to be on the show, please email Brian at thebrewingnetwork.com. It's very simple and very easy, very painless situation. You won't get very many viruses in your computer from his response.
I write long emails, too, so if you start a conversation with me, I'll engage.
That's true.
But
so wouldn't it be really funny is if Brian at thebrewingnetwork.com randomly went to you or me?
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
It's Brian with an I.
Pick and choose.
I can be Brian have a BN address, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, you should be. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Thank you to our guests for sending in beer, and thank you to Weihenstephaner for all the good love they put in that bottle for us to drink. Do you want to say something, Brian, or am I...
We're looking for a few more beers like Herbert brews.
There you go.
Thanks for lagering that stuff.
Looking for a few good beers and maybe a couple of bad ones?
Yeah.
Maybe. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for tuning in. This has been Dr. Homebrew. We'll see you.
Prost.